Let's get physical. It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update and all the physical releases coming to the Switch. We're in the second week of November, the 7th until the 11th. Before we get into it, a big thank you to anyone who started watching my Skies of Arcadia retrospective over on A Bit More Jordan. It is 3 hours and 20 minutes long, so I doubt anyone's actually finished it yet. But if you started watching it, thank you ever so much. I have never ever put as much effort into anything in my life before, including like courting my wife. That was easier. This was more difficult. So if you can go and watch it when you have the time, I would massively appreciate it. And if you enjoy these videos, if you enjoy like the jokes, the humor in this video, you'll like those videos too, because it's basically this, just a lot more of it. So yeah, if you get the time, please head over to A Bit More Jordan and go watch Skies of Arcadia, the retrospective review. Alright, this week's physical games, Tactics Ogre Reborn is releasing this week. This is a really nice surprise. It's a remake of a remake, which I can always get behind. The older games are the best. Now, I friggin' loved this game when I played it on the PSP, but let me tell you my tragic story. I let my best mate borrow my game when he was staying at his sister's house, and while they were there, they were burgled because they didn't have enough money to pay for the rent, so the landlord actually just burgled them and took stuff to, pay for the rent, and they took his PSP with my game inside, you knob. So I think I'd better get this one at some point. An absolute beast of a game, one of the best tactical RPGs around. It's like Final Fantasy Tactics, but on a bigger scale. Please get this because it deserves to be played. And our executive producers, Vay, Issa, Viz, Dane Wilkinson, Precision Plague, and Robotech have chosen this as their pick of the week. And as always, if you want to buy any of the retail releases and you want to support this video series, especially if you live in North America, consider using our affiliate links for Video Games Plus. They have great prices in favorable Canadian dollars, cheap shipping to the US, and even free worldwide shipping over 80 Canadian dollars. I hope to see a lot of Tactics Ogre in the analytics. And remember, every week we give away a $10 discount to one person who bought something the previous week. And this week's winner is Elazar P. Congratulations, you'll have your $10 discount in your emails later today. Cobra Kai 2 Dojo Rising is the sequel no one really expected. I know some people mildly enjoyed the original beat-em-up tie-in, and this looks to be like pretty much the same, an inoffensive time for those still living in the 80s. Hey, I would if I could. I'm still in the 90s and early 2000s, which is almost as awesome. With 28 playable characters, that's a decent enough amount of content to go around, I would say. Arkanoid Eternal Battle is getting a physical release this week. I tell you what, in a world full of craziness, sometimes you just need to keep bashing your head against the wall, and this is the video game version of that. How to make squash interesting, you make it into a video game. I've always enjoyed these types of games, especially the Kirby one, although I did hear that this one is lacking in content, since there's only so many ways you can slap your balls against the wall. And our executive producer, JCross7776, has chosen this as his pick of the week. Commandos 2 and 3 HD Remaster Double Pack is releasing in Europe this week. Not entirely sure about North America. This is a weird release because Commandos 2 was released already physically by itself. Commandos 3 has not. So if you already have Commandos 2, the only way to get Commandos 3 is if you buy Commandos 2 again. I guess one shouldn't complain about an extra game, but I just thought it was weird. These are HD remasters of old and well thought of PC games, but I never played PC games back in the day, so I have no experience with either of them. Are they good? I don't know. Garfield Lasagna Party is a game that kind of makes me hungry. I haven't had lasagna in at least 5 years because I haven't gone home to my mum. I could cook it myself, but can't be asked. And I don't want to deal with giving my daughter food poisoning, okay? Anyways, this is a party game if you hadn't noticed. DARQ looks to be finally getting a European release this week, a creepy ass horror game with bags of atmosphere. Remember, this got a physical release in North America thanks to limited run games. Horsetails Emerald Valley Ranch is maybe releasing this week thanks to Microids, but considering it's a bit of fluff from Microids, they tend to just fart it out whenever they feel like it. Yet another horse riding game for the Switch. Who knew there were so many 8-year-old girl Switch owners with parents who don't care about them? Either that or there was some breakthrough in horse rendering technology, meaning it's possible to barf one of these out in an afternoon. Atari 50, the Anniversary Collection, is a release that's actually got my attention. It's a celebration of Atari's history, including over 100 games. Now I know what you're saying, there's already one of these trash bags on the Switch, but this is different. For one, it looks and is presented a bit classier with interviews and documentary footage, but it's also not just the 2600, but also the Jaguar and Lynx, which say what you want about, those games. It's not as though they're easy to play in an official capacity anymore. I am mildly interested in picking this one up at some point down the line. Emulation should be decent since it's by Digital Eclipse. And our executive producers Jonathan Rumo and Instacritic have chosen this as their pick of the week. Sonic Frontiers is releasing this week. Imagine having a mascot that's a blue hedgehog. Man, the 90s were great. I think a lot of people are either really excited about this one or mildly terrified about what will happen when Sonic goes open world. Breath of the Hedgehog absolutely reeks. No doubt this will sell a ton regardless. It can hardly be worse than the one where he turns into a werewolf or into Sir Lancelot. I'm just hoping the Switch version runs nicely. It'll be the best selling, but will it be the worst running? Will Sonic be towing a caravan, and will Sonic fans still care about the story? They think it's important for some reason. And our executive producers Elissa, God of Resin, Brent McLean and Thorn Metal Luna have chosen this as their pick of the week. Hidden Through Time is basically Where's Wally? Or Waldo if you're in America, because you always have to be different. Hopefully this is better than the NES version of that said game, because that's widely considered one of the worst pieces of garbage ever made. But I'm reliably informed by the internet that this is pretty good. It even includes a map editor, and you can share and play other people's creations, which means infinite object finding entertainment. Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl Ultimate Edition is releasing, at least in the US this week, not sure about Europe. This is the base game with all of the DLC. Hopefully it's on the cartridge and not a download, but we'll have to see about that. SpongeBob Teabagging Turtles sounds like a decent time indeed. I don't know how many people still play this, but there's always room for platform fighters such as this if they actually try. Ooblets should be getting its retail release of this week. This is a very well regarded game, although it's another cozy farming sim, so maybe you're all a bit too cozy these days. I know winter is coming, but there's only so many blankets one can take before you start to develop your own internal nuclear energy. I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not a physicser. It looks like a lot of fun, has a lot of personality, so definitely pick this up alongside your other billion life sim farmers. And our executive producers Jennifer M, Ozgolo and Parsnip Coffee have chosen this as their pick of the week. Autonauts is a game about building robots and then programming them to perform tasks in order to build a thriving colony. This one has a bit of a hurdle to play it, perhaps something such as Human Resource Machine, but with more gameplay elements. Not sure if I have the mental capacity for this, but I think if you enjoy games such as Factorio, you'll enjoy this one. You can sink hundreds of hours into it as you try to be as efficient as possible. At least that's the amount of hours I've seen people play on Steam for. Hidden Objects Collection Volume 4 is the second object finding game this week. Who knew finding things was such an enjoyable activity? I spend most of my finding time swearing at my wife under my breath as I try to find my ID or the car keys, at which point I often get a clout to the head. That's not fun. Also, a quick shout out to Oddworld Soulstorm, which is getting its North American release this week. Alright, The Low Prince, Will You Snail is Super Rare's latest game. This one came out of nowhere because I'm pretty sure no one was asking for this. This looks like every indie platformer I've ever played. It's 10 years late to the party with the die a million times gimmick. Sorry, I'm just having flashbacks of when I used to review Wii U games, and this is kind of encapsulated all those games into one. I can't do it anymore. I can't. That's why I'm so negative. Sorry about that. Anyways, 4,000 copies available on Thursday. And our executive producer Grant Sir has chosen this as their pick of the week. Strictly Limited Games are publishing Puzzle Bobble Everybubble. That's up for pre-order right now. Now, because in games have their grubby hands on it, that means there's some bullshittery ahoy. This is going to be releasing at retail, but of course, they have so little respect for the general public, or they think game collectors are morons, or it's just a complete desperate grab for relevance in a world where low-print companies are struggling to hold the facade that they're actually needed. Low-print companies are not needed. Anyways, the strictly limited games version has an extra game on it. It includes the original Super Nintendo game. The retail version does not. Why? Because we desperately want you to buy from our website. Piss off. Clea Collection is releasing via Limited Run Games. This is a double pack of commendable side-scrolling horror games. I can't say I'm a fan of the art style found in these games, but people seem to like them well enough. They boast that they don't rely on jump scares at all. It's all about the skill. If you're shit, you're scared, okay? Limited Run are a bit late for Halloween with this one, but I know a lot of people have been asking for these games physically for a while now, so you can pre-order this collection tomorrow. And our executive producer, Cartoon Soren, has chosen this as his pick of the week. Alright, in terms of imports, there's basically bugger all. But there are 3 games releasing in Japan and Asia, and aside from one of them, they don't have English, and the one that does, we already have. Now before we get into the community spotlight, I have something I want to show off to you guys. Red Art Games actually sent me a large package of games that they wanted me to show to you, and hopefully help out with our affiliate earnings on their website, so thank you. So firstly, I'm a simple guy who, after conquering the massive JRPG, Skies of Arcadia, I need a bit of a palate cleanser. Something simple to pick up and play is just fun. And Blazing Beaks is the order of the day. A twin stick shooter with DARQs. And DARQs, they're amazing animals. I love DARQs, especially when they're in my belly. God, Beijing duck is great. There are other avian species in here too, but penguins don't do too much for my gut. This is a great game with roguelite elements, which means tons of replayability. The Switch version has a Metacritic score of 80, which is very commendable. It's best played with couch co-op, but it's just as fun as I played on my lonesome. A lot of fun and recommended to twin stick shooter fans who want something bright and colourful instead of bloodbaths, but don't let it fool you since it is really tough, especially those naughty artifacts which also have a negative boost as well. Also, very nicely, the game is complete on cart. No update is needed, which is always a bonus. Thanks to Red Art Games for sending this to me. If you want to pick it up, consider using the links below. That supports us, and you can also get 10% off if you click our link and use the code SWATCH10. Alright, the community spotlight. Kel showed off a nice unboxing of the special edition of Bayonetta 3 with the alternative covers looking very sweet. Executive producer Grant Sir picked up Mario Strikers Battle League Football. This one kind of came and went without much fanfare, which is sad, but I heard it's a good game despite lacking in content, which is a running theme of Nintendo sports titles. Lucky picked up these games, including In Other Waters from One Print Games, which, by the way, I am lined up to do an exclusive reveal of their next 2 titles in the coming weeks. I know what they are, so stay tuned for that. Gemini sent in this photo showing off 2 Point Campus, which I've heard has a few issues on the Switch with bugs and crashing. That's a pity, but it's something I would personally rather play on a PC anyways. Executive producer God of Resin sent in this photo picking up some super rare stuff alongside Earth Atlantis, an explorative shooter with a sepia looking overlay. It's an interesting concept, that's for sure. Executive producer Robotech sent in this photo showing off some great games. Rather jealous of the X Zeus collection. That's definitely something I would love to have. Video Games Plus did have some, but it sold out really quickly. Judge Sewell sent in this photo showing off a bunch of great games, some fine imports at the top there, and the fairly recent Idle Manager, which I reviewed, very addictive game. Executive producer Cartoon Soren picked up these games, including a reprint of Code of Princess at Video Games Plus. Don't worry, they should have more in the near future. Follow me on Twitter, I'll keep you updated. Executive producer Thorn Metaluna sent in this photo. You can see the North American version of DARQ, which has been out a while now. Transient Image, thanks for using our purchase links for the first 3 games there. He got in a bunch of visual novels, including most of the science adventure series. Very good choices. Blanco sent in this photo showing off a bunch of recent games like Persona and Nier, and yes, I realize they're not recent games, but hey, they're recent on the Switch and they're very welcome. Executive producer Instacritic sent in this photo showing off some truly eclectic games. I don't even know where to start with this. At least I know that Mozart's Requiem is actually released. I was always worried about that one. Nick King got in this bunch of games. Nicely Special Reserve finally sending out Loop Hero. That has been a long time coming. Draco Bud Smith sent in this photo of Shredder's Revenge, which seems to have taken a long time from Limited Run. Totally not like them to be late to the party compared to other regions. Executive producer Vay got in some great games. He even got in Blazing Beaks like I showed off today as well. Lots of great imports, some obscure ones like Space Marshal Collection and Needy Girl Overdose. Psych Villain, thank you ever so much for the donation. I hope you enjoy Bayonetta and Signalis when they get to you, but you'll have a lot of your time taken up by the absolute beast that is Persona 5. Koi managed to pick up the beautiful looking Little Witch No Better limited edition from Japan. That is looking absolutely gorgeous. Now it has been announced that this is getting a Western release next year. Yeah, I don't know why they announced that after the Japanese release, but whatever, this is gorgeous. I love it. Executive producer Elisa sent in this picture showing off her pick of the week from last week, Miraculous. She said the game is okay, but mainly for a younger audience. Visipon showed off a lot of pink purpley tints in this one. Lots of Japanese goodness, which I always approve of. Lots of visual novel stuff as well. Alright, let's have a roundup. Ashura G, Bunny Bear, Boran Murian, Craig Morgan, Doom Guy, Drew, Faison, Foot Gang, Go Hobo Go, Hudo, Joshua Brown, Kayla, Little Raven, Max1216, McLaren, Murky McFlynn, Needless Dragon, Retro Yoshi, Scarface, The One, Vast Neon. Alright, please send me your pictures on Twitter at SoWhatAboutGame. You can DM me, which is the best option, or you can try to tag me in a post and use the hashtag Let'sGetPhysical. Oh, that's risky, I get a lot of notifications these days. Or you can send it to our email address, switchwatchspotlight@gmail.com. And we have a Discord, the server link is below in the description. Please send it in the submission section and only one picture per week, or put it in a collage or whatever. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Let's Get Physical. As always, special thanks to executive producers Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Boombox, Brett McLean, Jonathan Rumor, Santa Tartaruga, Alexander Cato, J Cruz 7776, Elissa, Punky Dooster, Cartoon Soren, Robotech, Z, Raven Knight, Phone Metal Luna, Parsnip Coffee, Issa, Vay, Mental Traveler, Grant Cert, Viz, Jennifer M, Instacritic, Precision Plague, Karacha, and Ozgolo. Please, and yes, I don't know why I'm saying please. Thank you, plus you, yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. If you watched all the way through, you're a legend as well. Please leave me, what do we got? What do we got this week? Give me a duck. Give me a duck emoji in honor of Blazing Beaks, which I showed off to you, okay? Yeah, please go watch my Skies of Arcadia retrospective. I would massively appreciate that. It took a long time to make it, and I'm quite happy how it turned out. It's not perfect, but yeah, pretty good. And also we've got some other stuff as well, probably, right? Yes. Take care.